so when my son seen me doing these things, they were able to look and say, okay, he can do this. We can do these things. And this is what has to be. We have to learn those skills. If we're not learning those skills, people are going to come in, and I've heard them say it. I've heard them say it. They'll say, oh, they got it? Don't worry, we'll get it back. What that mean? Niggas ain't going to be able to hold it. In a matter of time, we'll get all the property back. We're totally unaware. We know that the earth belonged to the original man. They know it. If you ever look up some of the houses, you'll find that there's no actual debt on any house. How can there be debt on any house? You ain't bought it. We ain't deal with that. We don't deal with the land like that. We share the land amongst us. Nobody owned the earth belonged to the original man. Wherever you was able to build something, you built. So when you find out, you look at some of the debt, some of the houses, when people actually try to buy it, it says they're loan. What does that mean? It means there's no debt on it. So if there's no debt on it, why am I paying you to get it? It says there's no debt on it. You know, we've got to start studying the things that are out there to let us know. There's so much information out here now. People are unaware that, you know, anybody know what Admiralty and Maritime Law is? What is it?
Okay, that's the law of the sea.
Okay.
Maritime.
Right, maritime. Right?
Which governs most things in commerce.
Right. And that's what's called commercial law. So all these little notes we got, these things right here, these commercial notes. Right? They're all commercial notes. Huh?
Can I hold some?
Yeah.
No, I'm asking what you got.
Hold some. You just
Thanks, Scott.
No, I'm just saying, you can hold some. I just got some. Because I was supposed to retire, I ended up going back to work, but I work with children.
Okay.
And I've been working with children since, well, actually since I was knowledge built to destroy, because that's when I got knowledge, right? And then we were doing that out in the desert. We had a manhood development program, right? But then also, I brought a manhood development program in my school. And we used to take one matter of fact, it was one guy, we take a bunch of them out in the afternoon, that's when our program came, and activated. And there was one brother, he was, I think he was a blood. And he was coming down the hallway, and it was just before class started, so I came out of my class from the morning, and I'm looking at the children coming down the hill, coming down, what's his name, down the hallway, and I saw him, he had that swagger like, and I said to myself, oh, this looks like trouble, right? Come to find out, he was the best student. He was the one that was telling the other ones, yo, be quiet, I want to hear what they teach. See what I'm saying? And I took him, he, blood or whatever, and he had the leke on, y'all know what the beads are in terms of African, like that, then dealing with different aspects, of the mind and so forth. That's really what it represented, because we understood that we had different things that dealt with that. And they would break that down once you actually, really was into it, they'd give you the signs. So I started breaking stuff down to him. I took him to the store. Took him to the store, and I said, okay, which one do you want? And then we started dealing with that type of thing. And then I had to tell him, because he was the one that, because not everybody is going to become a 5%. Because if everybody become a 5%, it'd be 100%, wouldn't it? So he was the 5% coming down, but I didn't necessarily knew it then, but he was going to be that, but I had to tell him. I had no problem with him in school. I used to work on the units. And at one time, in order to get into the school to teach, somebody had to die, right? Or get fired. In my case, the guy got fired. So they brought me in, but that's how they hired me. The Jewish guy hired me. My resume said, man, God, and law. My resume said 5%, Nation of Gods and Earths, the word newspaper. We went in, I put everything we did, everything we did, that was there. That was my resume. Why? Because I said, I'm not hiding. I'm true in the God. I'm not hiding. I ain't did nothing wrong. I'm doing everything right. All right? So, when he, once we started dealing with things like that, that brother, started doing well, but I had to tell him, you're doing great in school. That's because I'm there. But you're fighting on the units. If you don't stop fighting on the units, because I'm trying to explain to him how this thing works. If you don't stop fighting there, you're going to be gone, and I'm not going to see you there. And that's what happened. So every once in a while, I find one or two, I can explain stuff to them, explain how, because, why did Who's have a hard time supervising them? You get 2000 BC? Because it was a Sabbath. Well, what did they say actually was a Sabbath? And living a beast life. So what part of the brain are they dealing with? See, this is what I teach the children now. There's different parts of the brain. We talk about a snake, but people don't know that the cerebral spinal system, right, that's the snake. That's the snake. But it terminates up here, right, at the brain stem, and then you have the corpus callosum going over it, which is the mammalian brain. So when I teach them, first thing I teach them is let's look at some reptiles. Now, when I was in camp, I went to camp from the time that I was built and destroyed to the time I was knowledge culture free, right? My mother used to send me to camp in Virginia, and as children, I love in the morning, once breakfast, we out in the forest, we looking for stuff, snakes, lizards, frogs, you name it, we looking for. So I said to him, I teach them that, let's look at reptiles. I said, reptiles have a whole lot of offspring, but they don't take care of them. They don't, a lot of us don't become reptiles. See, I look at when somebody says there's reptilians around, I look at it different. They trying to make it that reptiles is more intelligent than God. I don't play that, because when I look at reptiles have a lot of children, but they never take care of them. Once they out, they know how to eat, they know where to go. Mom, pop ain't got to teach them nothing. They do their thing. And they survive because of pure numbers. All right? So then, I'm explaining to them that there's a thing that for us, we have to understand that that's the left side of the brain. The left side of the brain deals with individuality. Right side of the brain deals with collective aspects. You need both of them, because the science of the collective, which is all of the sciences of God on that side, how does it now apply on an individual basis in everything that you do individually? These are the sciences that we got to deal with. We got to teach them. Right. So now, between the reptilian and the mammalian, the birds come in. Because if y'all ever looked at birds, you look at their legs, what they got on their legs? See, these little things got a lot of things, got a lot of science to them. They have reptile scales on them. Right, they have reptile scales. Now, when we deal with birds don't have as many offspring. They have the eggs. And those eggs, are high up, so nothing can get to them. The mother goes out, she gets food, she come back, she feeds them. Once they break out of the eggs, they hungry. Pop, she'll stay with them, Pop go out, and they take turns coming back and forth feeding the children, right? So there's a continuity. Now you have the beginning of intelligence, recognizing the importance of that you have to take care and nurture the young. Because we think that God just did stuff willy-nilly. No. God built on the science of how this has to go, and had to create, and in building on that science to make the best body that would be the body for God. We keep thinking, like the earth just came and then guys just, all of a sudden we was just there. This is what we got to see. So I teach them that. So I got one young man, he comes, his name is Ash, and I don't know if y'all, this is why you got to watch cartoons and stuff with your children. Because they're teaching the science there. It's there.
That's right.
We just don't recognize all that.
Because we don't watch cartoons.
Right. So in, what's it called? Not Pokemon, what's that? Where they say, gotta catch them all, y'all remember that?
Miraculous?
No,
I think that is Pokemon.
no, it's not Pokemon, it's another thing that they have. But what happens is, he has to catch. It says gotta catch them all, and it's a game. And in the game, there's a certain amount of points for each thing.
Pokemon.
Huh?
It's Pokemon.
It is Pokemon?
Yeah.
Okay. So they gotta catch these different things, and they have to train them.
Mm-hmm.
And when they train them,
Pokemon Go.
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go.
So they're training these things. But what are we doing when we're training ourselves not to be emotional? Because the emotion is the energy that we need to do things. But that energy is attached to survival. So without you even having to think, once you notice something that appears to be dangerous, the energy comes up. A lot of times when we with each other, some kind of way, we thinking somebody dangerous. I remember a brother wanted to fight me over a lesson he wrote, right? And my earth and his earth was there, and he wanted to fight me. And I disagreed with the lesson. And he says to me, yo, let's go downstairs and fight. So I said, well, first of all, you're a brown belt in martial arts. I ain't got no belt. You outweigh me by 60 or 70 pounds. That's another disadvantage. And when we go downstairs and fight, you would not have been able to prove what you were saying about what you wrote. So now we go downstairs, fight, you still haven't proved it, and I get my behind whipped? No, we're not doing that.
No, that's a no-brainer.
We're not doing that one. So we didn't go, but our relationship changed. Because I guess he used to everybody, as soon as you say fight, we just run downstairs and start fighting. If I got to fight, I'll fight.
Or agree with everything you said.
Or agree with everything you say. But I'm not doing it.
Nah.
Right, I'm not agreeing, because you didn't prove it. And the lesson had to do with justice of being the one to change. Dealing with Buddhism 35,000 years old. It said Buddha was a savage. I disagree with that because here's a guy.
He said Buddha was a savage?
Yes. And I said, here's a guy, that was what he wrote in his lesson. And I said, here's a guy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So here's a guy that wrote this lesson. I said, did he study? Because his father was the richest guy in India. He had all the money. Here's a guy that left and gave up all the riches to go out and minister to the people because he was saying that God is within everything. Yep. So if God is in everything, it's in you too. So this is a guy that went out to teach that.
Yeah.
And then you're going to say he's a savage, and I'm going to fight about whether or not he's a savage. No, I'm not doing that. Because you ain't going to be able to prove, that's not going to prove it, and my behind is now whipped, I'm hurt, and you still didn't prove it. So, our relationship was never the same. Now, it's only not too long ago, and I'm not going to say no names, but not too long ago, I was glad, I saw the brother, whatever, and he actually shook my hand. Because our relationship was kind of rocky after that. And I'm talking about rocky after 30 years. Okay? Because I've been building on and dealing with this science for about culture, power, refinement, going on culture equality. And that's why I study everything. The brothers that I was with, we went to the bookstores. Y'all remember Kanye? Used to be on the Tree of Life.
Oh, yeah.
Remember? We used to go there, buy books, because everything that's in the lessons is all there. But we have to be able to look and find it so that when other people are going, well, this is what I think, or this is what the Bible says. All right, I understand what you're saying. But let's go and see. Because what did Jesus tell them? Think not that I've come to destroy the law or the prophets. I came to fulfill them.
Right. And
the prophets,
right.
That's right. So if the prophet said we God's, and then later on I'm coming and I'm saying I'm sanctified, I'm coming in, and I'm dealing with the same thing, what's the problem? This is why it becomes important that we can't just stay in one area. 120 was our foundation. I think it was the greatest foundation. Okay? As far as I'm concerned. That's the one I started with. And everything that I dealt with, I was able to show and prove 120 through. So no one could ever deny me.
Okay.
This is why it's almost like speaking different languages. So we go into the different sciences, we have to be able to show them. So I will go back to the Pokemon thing. So this young man, his name is Ash. Now the person that's dealing with that particular thing, his name is Ash, but the person inside of the actual cartoon, his name is Ash Ketchum.
Okay.
catching. What they want them to catch? Well, what are you training? Training animals. So you got to catch the animals within us, because if we don't catch the animal, then we savage. Right? Because that wisdom degree, that's wisdom.
Once you lose knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to become savage and fear.
Right? Because one with knowledge, anytime you become one with what you know, all right, God, no, it's okay. No, God, that's okay. God, understanding. Right, that's the best part. You know? So, God, you know, so it becomes important for us to understand. So it becomes important for us to understand that we got to study all the stuff, a lot of the stuff that's out there, and as we start to study, and that book that I said, Dictionary of All Scriptures is it by G.A. Gaskell. G.A. Gaskell, that particular dictionary is the bomb, because it will give you the breakdown and show you the comparison to every aspect of every religion out there to show you that actually they're saying what we're saying, but the priesthood went dark, and because they went dark, they do not teach it that way. They teach it as a belief system as opposed to giving you the actual knowledge that corresponds with us here in this day and time. So it's there. So you can't say that. So once you start studying, say, damn, they got the truth out there, but they kind of distort it. So all we got to do is then, but they put out all the books that show you, you know, you want to do a little study, you get this book, and here's another thing. You know, because I try to deal with a lot of things that people are, you know, we all, you know, are familiar with 120. Did y'all see Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah.
You saw it?
Yeah, I see it.
Right, okay. Remember now, his sister, right? His sister was bad.
Yep.
Matter of fact, she was the road dog for the father. She was the one that was doing work. Right?
To his eye, yeah.
So, what happened? She comes back, right? And since the father was the only one that could, you know, hold her, and he returned, right? He no longer there, right? And so Thor's fighting or whatever, blah, blah, blah. She takes his eye out, right? And just as she's about to take him out, and he goes into trance. What's trance? Trance is when you go into, you know, you go into your mind, you went into a self, and he thought about, he could, just like some of us, if you were fortunate enough to be around a father, and he taught y'all certain things, or someone that taught you something that was real crucial and important, you know, and he went in there. So what does he do? He's walking, and he sees his father. He says, Father, you know, she, and he's got one eye now, okay? And Father, she destroyed my hammer. So what do you say? He said, well, who are you? Thor, God, hammers? So I only gave that to you so we could focus your power. What does 120 do for us? Focus our power. It's not the end all or be all, but it's the beginning of the focus of the power, so that anything that we start to study should be able to be coordinated through that. Right?
Yeah.
So then he says to him, he said, you never could see the truth even when you had both eyes. Did anybody catch that one?
Yeah.
Right. You couldn't see the truth when you had both eyes. Right?
Yeah.
So he said the power's always been within you. And but that's okay. So when we look at Hercules, it's the same story. Hercules, what happened to Hercules? People don't know about his story. Hercules, right? He was called the Prince of Power. Why? Because he had muscles. So his physical thing, he always relied on his physics to be able to deal with any situation, right? And he was angry at the father because the father used to go out and deal with earth women. Check it out. So the father, so the father, who was Zeus, Hercules was mad at his father because he felt that he betrayed his mother by going out and having sex with this other woman, which gave birth to him. So now he's got his father's God. His mother Check the signs out there. Father's God, mother's earth. Okay. So he's mad at his father. He refused to, now the God was going to give him a gift. But every gift that the God was giving him, he refused because he was angry at his father. So it's kind of like what happens sometimes when they see, the gods and what they say, a prophet is seldom without honor except in his own home. Because your children are going to see the mistakes. You know what I'm saying? They're going to see all the mistakes. You're saying, no, but you're making these mistakes, not understanding that I'm making mistakes because a lot of this comes from habits that had built up when I didn't know. So there's a time that it takes for you to get rid of a lot of that ancient, a lot of the thinking and, habits that come up that been in you, and you got to get rid of them. This is why we took Jerusalem from the devil, because we found it in peace, right?
Yep.
But we took Jerusalem from the devil because there was a dirty religion. See what I'm saying? So we had to clean up. And during the cleanup process, you got to get stuff out. And you can't, since there's a limited amount of space, you can't keep the same negative stuff in you and wrong thinking, and at the same time put all the positive in. If you put the positive in, something got to go out, because the space is limited. So, darn, what was I saying? Somebody bring me on.
Thor.
Yeah, right, Thor. So, Thor, after he said that, once he told Thor, he said, I only give you this to focus your power. That's, and then he said, but she's going to destroy as God. Because who do we come as? As God. So he says she's going to destroy Asgard. He says, Asgard ain't no place. Asgard's no people. I mean, what more do they need to say in the movie?
Asgard. Yep.
They say Asgard is the people.
Yep.
That's one of the best movies I saw. When he said that, I said, man. And then when he told his son, well, you had two good eyes, you still couldn't see. And we got a lot of people like that that's got two good eyes and got 120 and still can't see. Because a lot of people are not understanding the importance of refinement. Because refinement means to bring something back to its original state and value. So if there's brothers that's saying that they're not dealing with refinement, they don't deal with power. Well, what is the evidence of power if you can't bring about a change? And the change would be the refinement back to the original. So what you're telling me is that you got knowledge or you got information, but you ain't been using it. That's what you're saying. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
That's it. That's it. And if you're still doing the same stuff you've been doing, and you got 120 lessons, that's a problem. Because you can do what you want. But is it the most beneficial for you and those around you